Hello and welcome to the Film Ireland podcast, where we celebrate filmmaking, storytelling and cinema across the island of Ireland. So in today's episode, we're delighted to partner with the National Talent Academy for VFX, an initiative supported by Fish Éireann, Screen Ireland. And this podcast was recorded on location at the Spinners Mill studio during RENDR Festival. So this is a vibrant gathering for creatives featuring local and international speakers from across film, gaming, animation and immersive technologies. In this episode, we're delighted to welcome Katherine Jones. So Katherine works at Sony Picture Imageworks, and she's served as CG Supervisor on K-pop Demon Hunters and In Your Dreams. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, we're delighted to be here. Did you enjoy the festival so far?
Oh yeah, this is like nothing I've been to. I've been to maybe 7 other speeches in North America, but this is like so incredible, so much fun. It's a real great uniting of film and gaming and just kind of our industry in general. So it's cool because it just motivates like young people to feel excited about our industry in a way that a lot of talks are just like, I go to a theater, I talk, and then we leave and that's it. And so it's pretty cool, all the socializing that people get to do, and, you know, have people come up to me and talk to me and ask me questions about their passion is... Yeah, it's unique. It's been really wonderful.
You talk about young people being passionate and getting into the industry. What made you come here to the industry?
The industry for me was as silly as it is, because the internet has done weird things to Shrek. But I was, you know, a child of the 90s, and I watched Shrek for the first time and just thought, CG, you could make anything possible. Anything. You don't have to have the big budget, and you don't have to build everything because you're doing it in 3D space, so it's all obtainable now. And so when I first watched Shrek, there was like a behind the scenes special where it's Shrek and Donkey walking over this hill of grass, and then they broke down the grass and showed it all. And I was like, wow, I really want to do that. And then I went to art school, and I didn't know how to make it into film, but I just made a bunch of creative, kooky friends, and they just kind of guided me and said, oh, you know, you really love animation that much, you should go to this school. So I went to that school, and like, word of mouth and friends that actually want to inspire each other, this is the best. That's how you make it. And that's how you make it into the industry too, you know?
And what was your first break then? What was your, you know, your first ever, like, bit creating a film?
So I did have a lot of small projects, student projects and stuff like that. My first real break, I can't say this enough. It's crazy thinking about it in hindsight with my career. But I was nice to somebody in college that just kind of like nobody was kind to. And he happened to be the person that months after graduating from getting a bachelor in science and computer animation, I was like, everyone's getting a job but me. I failed at this. What am I going to do? And then this guy who I'd never in a million years would have thought called me up, said like, hey, this company is coming. You should go. This is perfect for you. And like, he was just a guy I gave a ride home to once, like just being kind. And now he's paid me back in kindness because he's the reason I got my first job in LA. So yeah, that was my big break. And I feel like I should reach out to him, Chris, and tell him that again, like how much he did for me, because it's just like one person is all it takes to make your break. So just be kind to everyone, because you really just don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, or just don't not be kind.
Yeah, just be kind to everyone all the time.
Tiny.
Yeah,
and you'll be,
that's true too. Like, I think for a bunch of students, we started out with like 300 students, and we graduated like under 40 because it was a really intensive 3-year program. And like, he's one of the people that made it, and I was one of the people that made it. And so we all thought like, well, we're definitely going to make it into the industry. But even out of that group, like only a few of us got a break. You know, just had the right like moment in time. And it's not necessarily about the talent that was shown, but the human connections that get us the jobs every single time.
Yeah, and I suppose it is like the entire industry is based on collaboration. You can't make a film by yourself. I mean, you can, but it like, you can't make a film at that scale by yourself.
Yeah, you can't do it well. That's for sure. Because, you know, like, one thing I love is like creative collaboration is my whole shtick as a CG supervisor, because, you know, like working on K-pop, one of my favorite stories is there was so many shots where if my artists wouldn't have felt like they could speak up and share their like unique interests or talents, like it wouldn't have made that screen what everybody got to experience so amazing. Like one of my artists, Sheldon, he he's a drummer, and he's the one that helped us when they're in the airplane fight and they're like fighting all the demons for the first time. It's to the beat, and it's because he was a drummer, so he knew how to break it down into like sixteenths and all those main hits.
Oh, even the bit where it's like and they're in the
the window. Yeah, even those hits, like he developed a tool because he understood how that rhythm worked in like a fundamental way, like most musicians would, but like he developed a tool to visualize every single beat so that I could then give it to any artist and they could see that like visual beat and pulse to the sound. And so the lighting and the action got to be part of the music in a way that was really integral, and that's because of him. Like, that's not because of me. That's because of one person's voice that was like, hey, I have this thing I can bring. And like the shot where you see the three girls and they're introduced at the beginning in the airplane and it's like cuts to their eyes. Oh, yeah. That was all Sin Yi, who was like a major K-pop fan. And she had the guts to say, hey, Katherine, I really want to do those shots. I really want to do those. Those feel like the perfect shots for me. And like, I was enabled because I had good leadership to say like, okay, do it. Just do whatever you want to do. And those shots I showed the directors and they're like, love this. And it's like, okay, this is her. This is her voice on the screen. Like, if it would have all filtered through my voice only as their supervisor, it wouldn't have been as like stellar, you know, it wouldn't have been as unique because it would have just been my experience and what I thought was good. So I'm so in love with creative collaboration. I think that's why we all do what we do.
Yeah. I really want to go through your career, but then I just really want to ask about all the individual shots. I'm going to try because like I will go through your career and then I'll how it jumps from the photo realism bit, like, you know, those bits that are so true, but I will go into this because I just love it, and then, you know, like those classic anime moments that we all grew up, you know, like those cartoons, that was that difficult to figure out then, like, because, and you're kind of honoring so many different things. Where do you find the balance in that movement? And
it's interesting because you got to pull from all your inspiration. And so K-pop, it was like, we had K-drama, which is all about heightened realism, and bokeh, and everybody looks like super beautiful all the time. And then we had anime, which is very like 2D inspired stuff. And then we had K-pop as a genre. So we had like the way that they're posed very specifically, or even like the twinkle in their eye. Like a lot of that was already established for us. So it was just like, the animation really leads when those moments need to happen. And like there are certain poses that are it's like a language in K-pop where they do this like cutie pose at the end. And so animation drives that, and then lighting and compositing just goes like, okay, now we're gonna like how do we up them with that style specifically? I think that's the fun though, because you're bopping around in all these different styles because you're like, the girls are being silly and eating food. They don't need to be like, when Zoe's eating the like chips, that was one of the shots I got to work on. Her teeth become like 2D shark teeth. Because she's eating those chips. And so it's like, it just felt like animation knew when to push it into 2D because it's being like, it's over character, it's way over the top. These girls are like chowing down. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, it's time to go. We're going to fight these demons on the plane. And now we need to look like totally awesome and super cool movie stars. And so then they suddenly go into like photo real K-pop and K-drama style. So it's just like playing it in the energy of the moment.
And even episodically, there's such a different energy as it progresses. The demon world, the like that moment in the sauna as well. Like, I just thought there was something so distinct, the way that it moves, and each of those elements in each of the spaces, and even the you have like a high school in America, and you have the historical elements. And each one is so distinct.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a music video. That's like this is this like world from the past, and everything is brought in. Does that, like, is that sort of like an overwhelming thing to create as you're leading up to it? Like, what are the conversations or desires as to build each one, or is it something that sort of grows organically as it progresses?
That's a good question. I think like every film, like breaking it into sequences, you do typically assign it to different CG supervisors who are going to carry that vision. You always have like the directors and the creative, like the making it authentically Korean. Like Maggie brought so much stuff. And then the cool part about it is we get to then be students of this language we've never been a part of. Like I learned about K-pop because of this movie, and I watched K-dramas for the first time in my life because it was like, how I need to be able to authentically represent this group of people in a way that like I have no idea. So them teaching us all of these things, what's important, how to represent these things, and then guiding us through it as we like find our way in the world. It's just so much fun, honestly. Like when I worked on the Sea Beast, I got to learn about all the elements of a ship. Like what are the what's starboard and all that kind of stuff. Like I had to learn those things because then I needed to be able to make that in the film. So this was super fun because I watched like The Business Proposal on Netflix, which was so much fun. And learning about Korean cinema, which is so different than Western cinema. I highly recommend because they do such an amalgamation of like super realism and then sometimes comedy, and then they do 2D stuff on top. Like they are so incredible that becoming a student of what Korean cinema really is, it's like it's part of the fun and the challenge. And like I think everybody is up to it because you get inspired by it and you start to live it and breathe it, and then you're like, okay, now I want to help. And you always have people like Maggie, our director, who's like, yes, this is correct, no, let's move this way, and like guiding the voice. So yeah, it's fun.
I know this sounds like so cheesy, but it was something that when I watched it, like I was really moved by it because I think it just honored so many things. And you know, like you have, you know, this overall message of female friendship and this, you know, thing about how voices get defeated, like, you know, and that negative self-talk. Like there's all these things that are like, you know, like they have been tackled in these different ways, but like, you know, at a time when it's quite like the world is quite bleak. It was just this lovely moment of optimism. And watching out a child, you really get to go. So it was one of those things, and you're just like, this has changed the world and like touched the world. Like when I say it was my favorite, I was like, I watched it with my kids like 5 times, and every single time there are these beats where I genuinely tear up because I was like, you know, you go, art doesn't make a difference. But think of all the people that are not represented, that feel seen. And not only do they feel seen, like their culture is seen. And not only is it seen, like it is celebrated. And not only is it celebrated, but it is like I won't say bigger than Frozen, but I would say bigger than Frozen. You know, like it is like one of the movements of this time. And it's so like, it was such an important piece. But it's like, and it works on every single level because it does something so different. So I just like, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, like we're at a time where, you know, like everything is like existing IP, or, you know, we're kind of told the same stories in all these different ways. So like, and I know like, but it's ridiculous. People are like, ridiculous, but I just kept talking about it all the time because it's so important. Like, was that awesome? Like, did you know that at the time, or were you like, this will be a good film, people will watch it and then they'll watch something else? Or were you like, this is magic? Because it was magic.
Well, that's the thing is, I would say we didn't know what we had at the beginning when we were watching. Like, it looked cool. The concept art that we first got before we made it was really cool. And for me, I knew it was something really special, and it really resonated because I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I've worked in the animation industry for a long time now. And like having that kind of representation of like authentic women, they're eating food, they're superstars, they're best friends, they're flawed. Like, I think it's so beautiful because it resonates with every age. We've all been through that, like self-doubt in a different way, and how we try to hide that. And so it felt really powerful. But for me, I actually like, there was a certain clip because I'm working on this movie, and my 10-year-old daughter got to watch it while it was in production, and seeing her reaction, I'm like, whew. And then when it came out, it was her birthday. It's the day that it came out. And so I did like a little viewing sleepover, and all these little girls are, I'm going to tear up. All these little girls are watching it. I did it like an outdoor in the backyard. And I just felt like I am so impressed with what they have done with this story to like empower little girls, not only like for themselves, but for each other, to empathize for the different weaknesses we all have as women and girls. And I just felt so, like, I just bawled my eyes out behind them because I could see them hearing that message and going like, you know what? Yeah, I have this like negative inner voice, and it's okay because everyone does, you know? And I feel like what we really need is that kind of message of like, it's okay to be broken. That song at the very end, just like, it gets to me because it's such a beautiful way to represent like how powerful friendships are, how powerful being able to be open with our weaknesses and support each other really is. And that's what we need right now, is to support each other, you know? I love that. I tear up every single time. I worked on that movie for like over 2 years.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've seen it like 6 times, and every single time I'm like,
it's like, oh, it's so nice to feel good though. Like, I think Golden too, that song, like, my mom loves that song. She blasts it all the time, and it just is like, I don't know, it just feels good. It's like, this is the power of storytelling. Art. Forever. Yeah. All artistic expression and that kind of creativity is like to move people. No matter how dark the world may feel, that is the most powerful weapon we have.
There's something about the storytelling that is just so like, and it is at this time where people, like, there isn't the same risks in stories being told, where there is this like a couple of things that have changed in the world that aren't necessarily for the best, and like that moment of hope. And again, what's interesting about it is an ensemble piece. It is not the hero's journey. It is very much about community, and the songs are bangers. Like, there is not a bad song in that. So when you watched it for the first time, did you go, oh, like, are you watching the individual parts of the film and going, oh, this is nice, oh yeah, this is cool, and then when it's there as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's difficult sometimes because, like, I might work on a specific section of sequences and not be able to piece it all together. If I go to final digital intermediate, I'm watching it with such a technical eye. I'm looking for errors. I'm not really able to experience the film. And it depends on the actual production. Like, there are some movies, I still haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road. I worked on that movie for 3.5 years, but it was a really tough production for me in my life. So I was like, I don't want to watch this movie that everyone loves, because I think too much of my personal recollection is there. But like, so with K-pop, like, when I see those shots, I see my artists and I see these like victories that they got to have. And so I think that's the thing, is watching it through my daughter and her friends was the first time I got to really experience the film for what it was, because I got to see it through their eyes and see their reaction. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. But I didn't know when I was working on it what it would be. And we definitely didn't know what it would be to the world, which is just, I don't know, the power of animation, you know, and film is so cool. Yeah. But yeah, working on small sections, sometimes you don't necessarily know. Or like, you know, for me, I got to do the airplane sequences, you know, when they're chowing down and they're battling. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then when they're in the concert and they drop down, that was a different supervisor. But we collaborated so well together that I got to see those flow, and I was just like, whoa, this song is so good. And then working on it, I was like, okay, this song is really good though. Like, that was how it's done. Yeah. And I was the weirdo, like, constantly singing it, doing my dishes, or like walking around. Nobody
we all were. The whole world was, I think. You know, like, I mean, everyone started with gold, and then we worked our way through all the different elements. And you're like, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Then, as it was released, and it's released online, when did you start to realize, oh my God, this is like so like the biggest thing? Yeah. Like, was it a thing where you're like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. What?
I don't know. I mean, when it came out, I had like a viewing party with my family because I was excited, and I was so jazzed for my daughter to see it again, for the first time. And then I was like, oh, I need to expose more people to this. And it was funny because I invited like my son's friends, and I was like, oh, it's a girl movie. And I'm like, but you might like it. They all loved it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. I also like my younger brother. He's like a bonus baby. So I'm 40. He's 20. Okay. And him and his friend came to watch it just to be nice. Like, I'm supporting my big sister in her goofy, weird movie that she helped work on. And they both were like, whoa. And I'm like, ha! It got all of you. Like, it just felt like it hit every demographic of person, which just speaks to, like, the story that they wrote behind that. Like, it's not just for girls. It's not just for little girls. It's for, like, everyone can enjoy it and take away something from it. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I suppose that's it. It's something that speaks to so many people, and as you can see, as it was announced, everyone watched it. Obviously, everyone watched it again and again.
That
You
helps.
kids, yeah, you're like, and every time you watch it, there's so much more in it. When it just became everything, like, you know, and it got re-released in cinemas. Is that the beat where you're like, oh my god, I'm so proud.
Yeah, I think like when we started hearing the numbers of Netflix, because, you know, we watched those things like, how's it gonna go? And then it was just like, it's in the Netflix top 10, everybody. It's in the Netflix top 10. It's still in the Netflix top 10. It's still in the Netflix top 10. And so like me and my colleagues that worked on it were like, are you seeing this? This is incredible. And then it was like, you know, we get the like, okay, we need to start going for the awards that are coming up in the new year and start preparing media for it. And we're like, all right, like, go K-pop. Like, it's funny because it's very similar with Spider-Verse. Like, when you make something like that, you just don't know. And I think of some of the conversations that we kind of like had secretly when we were working on it. Like, what if this is like too much visual noise for people and Spider-Verse like doesn't do well? Because you just honestly don't know. And I think you're working in such a like vacuum where it's like you're living that movie. So you're really like not able to evaluate it in a clear mind, because that's your whole world for multiple years. And so when Spider-Verse was so huge, it was like, yes, awesome. Everyone loves this. Like, we can do something groundbreaking and be embraced by it.
Yeah.
And then with K-pop, it was just like, so cool. But it was, for me, it was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like, you know, hey, this is really cool. I knew my daughter would love it. It's so in her alley. So funny and silly and sweet and wonderful. But to see the world embrace that was just like awesome. Yeah. But definitely not. I tell you, you just never know. It's so hard to know.
And even Spider-Verse as well, you're so like where you are in the like superhero franchise release,
right?
Like you know, and I presume like when you're planning it, and I know things are probably held because they're not, you know, so they're not competing against certain other things,
Sure.
but you know, like where you don't want to hit, and I presume these things take so much time that you don't want to hit when there's like superhero fatigue, or
Sure.
you know, like that DC has just done something like too similar, and you know, like there's a Lego movie that does the thing, and it's like no, that you have to hit at that time. And then certain times, and you always hear about this happening, where themes in films, because of events that happen, just become totally, you know, like the film does not hit in that same way because the world has changed since it went into development.
Yeah.
I think Into the Spider-Verse happens, you know, there was like just such a release of superhero films, but it just did something so fresh.
Yeah.
And so enjoyable. And like that appealed to all the different ages that had watched the Spider-Man over the years. In terms of the bits that you get most satisfaction in your job from on those projects, like, are there elements that you enjoy more than others?
I think the biggest thing, and like Spider-Verse was the first one at Sony. I'm so proud to get to be at Sony. I feel so grateful that this is where my career has brought me, and I get to work with these incredible people, because like to have the guts to break the rules and see if it works, because there, you know, like, I think it's no secret there's screeners, we get reactions, then we change things to try and see, like, is this gonna land, is this not gonna land? And when you have these creative directors that are just like that are just willing to like shake things up, and you know what, there is no algorithm or screener that's gonna tell us if this is gonna be successful or not, and they go for it, like, to get to be a part of that and help that is just like, that's the artistic dream. Like, all I want to do in my life is I want to work with other creative people that are passionate about storytelling and hopefully bring some joy to the world. That's what makes me feel the most like, okay, I've done this. Like, my artists are happy. If my artists at the end of the show feel like they got to put themselves on the screen, and I feel like K-pop, I got to do that, which was really empowering for me as a leader. But like, that's what makes me feel the most proud, is my daughter feels empowered by something I worked on. Like, how cool is that? And hopefully that means like more people get to see that dream happen and it's obtainable. Like, part of my speech today is like, I came from a tiny, small town in like middle of cornfields. Nobody thought I was going to be able to work on movies. I was just a very ambitious and naive child that was like, I'm going to totally do this. And I had a partner that supported me and parents that supported me. And like, yeah, like, I don't know. I think that's the thing is I see dreams coming true because we get to do things that are not the normal, the predictable. And it's like audience embrace that. And that to me just tells the tale of how empowering art can be.
Yeah.
And how wanted it is. Yeah.
And how needed certain stories are. Like, it can change the world. Like, that can give brightness to people that are, you know, struggling or that are going through something. You know, like, you resonate with the characters. You know, like, that clear representation of ADHD that you're just like, that is the positive theme. Because that isn't always there on screen. Or, you know, it isn't always represented in that way.
Yeah.
And I just think that is such a... Like, it's a beautiful thing to get to contribute to. Do you appreciate this more? Because you did mention that things were difficult before. And do you appreciate this environment now more as a result? That you get to, you know, have such a kind of healthy, creative relationship with your team? That you get to, you know, really do things that are fun and experimental?
Oh, yeah. Like... For me, starting in my live action background, I was really like, I'm doing a thing. I'm part of it. I'm asked to do a task and I'm fulfilling that task. I'm now like at Sony, there's so much change that has happened since like when I joined Sony, I just felt like this is a totally different place where voices can be heard and leadership actually really cares about hearing those voices. And my previous experiences, that wasn't the case. It was, here's the deadline, here's the expectation, you need to hit it. And if you don't, then we move on. And I have felt like my career at Sony has been constant support from people above me saying like, hey, take the shot. Here it is. Here's your opportunity. So when I became a CG supervisor, all I could do is pay that back in kind with what had been done to me. And I feel like the directors at SPA are open to that. They're wanting that. So yeah, like that's the power of the pictures that we get is so many voices, so many talents and so many unique interests that come together, which again, like if you funnel that all through one person and mute those voices, you're just lacking the specialness. And because Sony is open to that, it's so incredible. So as a leader, that's my biggest goal is to be able to empower more people the way that my leaders had empowered me.
And
so.
Is that a product as well of the nature of animation that I like that, and then in sort of live action that the structure of the director as the auteur is like, could that be a sort of a cultural phenomenon where, you know, not every director is a dictator, but
for sure,
yeah, but like, and I presume like there are places that could be like workhouses as well, or do you think that's something sort of distinct to the various places?
It's an interesting idea, and I can't say for sure, but I would say like animation being what it is because everything is made and it's changeable.
Yeah,
you're not shooting one day and then finishing the shots the next day. So like that input and that flexibility of change and being able to say like, you know what, we shot this as all night and we want to redo the lighting. And in animation, you can iterate as fast as you want. You can change the sets, you can change the mood, you can change the animation of the characters without a reshoot day. So I think like that in itself enables people to have more voices because it's like, ooh, we could just change this and it's easy to do. I think live action is so much planning goes into it and it's in the moment. So I think the people that are there in that moment can cultivate change, especially if there's an environment where they're open to it. But it might be harder for other voices to be heard because they're too focused on doing the set or they're setting up the gaffer or whatever they might be working on. So I like to speak to that. That's my best guess as to why maybe it doesn't happen as often in live action. But for me, I was in post in live action. So that's really just like, hey, we shot the film. This is what we need. Please do this. And like a lot of people really love that. And so I'm not trying to dig on live action by any means. But for me, animation was like the creative, like, I've reached where I want to be. And yeah, I just find it to be much more collaborative and creative. And it could just be because the cost of change is less.
Yeah. And are there projects or things that you'd like to do? Are there elements like that specific part of world building creature? Like, do you know, like what are the things that you enjoy doing that most?
There was something I would love to do. And this is a call out to all the creative people out there that are students and they don't know what to do or they're passionate about it. But I've yet to see a high-level animated horror movie. Not a silly one or a cheesy one, but like a really good animated thriller. I'd love to work on something like that.
Fabulous.
At Sony, I feel like Spa keeps bringing these challenges. So I have just been like sitting back, enjoying like, okay, now I'm going to learn about ships. Okay, now I'm going to learn about K-pop. I don't even know what that is, but I'm going to learn everything I can. So, and now I'm on the third Spider-Verse and the directors just, they inspire us with so many challenges that are just like, I'm very entertained. And I feel like that creative art heart of mine is just pumping all the time. So right now I feel like I just get to thrive in the challenges they bring me. So
yeah, maybe you do that as your, what is it, the
someday
proof of concept short.
Somebody should
and
do
then,
that.
And then do it. You should do it. You should
It
do
just
it.
seems like like we haven't seen that. And
Yeah.
like not cheesy or goofy, but like legitly good animated horror.
Because you can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be so dark.
Yeah.
I like that. And it's such a thing for suspense. If you can play around in the post elements,
Right.
you know, you can really go with your gut in terms of this works and this
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll watch that.
Right?
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, this was a blast. Thank you so much.
A big thank you to the Spinners Mill Studio and to RENDR Festival for hosting us, and to our podcast sponsors, the National Talent Academy for VFX. To learn more about the work they do, visit nationaltalentacademies.ie/VFX.